Zelensky gives a speech, and he gives a speech about wanting United States aid. What say you, big boy? I'm sorry.
Aid is one thing. A no-fly zone is completely different, okay? So if you want to give aid to Ukraine, all right, fine. Now, that's kind of a tough sell for a lot of people because I was told $4 billion to secure the United States southern border was way too expensive. Yet now we're rolling out billion-dollar bills left and right for Ukraine, who's really not even that much of an ally. They're not in NATO. And if you do a little bit of history, and I get that it was a different regime, different time, all that kind of stuff. But when the United States was getting squirrely with Saddam Hussein, it was Ukraine who was on Team Saddam Hussein. So let's stop acting like Ukraine is the UK, this lifelong ally, somebody that's going to have your back thick and thin. That's not the case. That being said, nobody wants to see the horrific things that we're seeing, hospitals being bombed, children being killed, civilians being killed. That's awful. It's atrocious. So if you want to give them some military aid, if you want to give them things to protect themselves, I'm okay with that. The key word, though, is themselves. Okay? The United States does not need to be in a conflict where your homeland, as of right now, is in no danger of being attacked. Oh, that's just where I stand. I don't want to see sons and daughters, our brave men and women, having to go over there and enforce a no-fly zone. Okay? Because there's two parts of that. If you want a no-fly zone, okay. But you know damn well the Russians are going to violate that. And when they violate it, the enforcing of the no-fly zone means you're going to have to shoot a Russian plane out of the air. The minute you, the United States, shoots a Russian plane out of the air, you are in this thing. And why? Why do you need to be in this thing? I don't feel like the United States should be guilted by Zelensky to get in here. And don't get it twisted, Coach, because sometimes when people say this, you've got folks, on the internet that lose your mind. You're pro-Russia. You like Vladimir Putin. Nothing would bring me more joy than watching Vladimir Putin die a slow, painful death caused by syphilis. Let's not get it twisted here. But at the same time, the United States does not need to be guilted in being the aggressor that starts what would be World War III.
What I see is exactly what you're saying. If you don't just completely close your eyes and go along, you love Putin.
Right.
I mean, that's all I ever see. It's like having a normal discussion relative to defending our own country is out the window because we must deal in absolutes. If you do this, then absolutely you are for Putin. You must do this over here to prove you are not. How about we do one time in the last 2 years, how about we do something that's just best for us at some point,
right.
No?
And look what's happening in our country right now. Everything is happening at the southern border, from drugs flowing in to criminals, people you don't know, flowing in at record paces at the southern border. Let's talk about the economy. You've got high gas prices, high prices at the grocery store. Everything costs more. Inflation through the roof. So what are we doing? We're printing more money, not to give to us, but to give to Ukraine. Now, again, humanitarian in me says, yes, all right, we need to help these people in some capacity. But it's a hard sell when you tell me that we don't have enough money to take care of things at our southern border. $4 billion, I think, was the cost of what Trump was wanting to do with his wall. And then we're printing off billions and trillions of dollars that have nothing to do with this country. And before the people on the internet get their little panties in a wad and say, well, you're just some Republican talking point head, blah, 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 blah. This goes for Lindsey Graham, too. Graham Nasty, the Republican senator from South Carolina. He wants us to get into this thing. He wants us to assassinate Vladimir Putin. He wants us to be involved in this thing. No. Tell Graham Nasty to send some of his family members over to Russia and enforce the no-fly zone if that's how he feels.
Graham Nasty got nasty, right? He's like somebody within Russia needs to assassinate Putin. Now, that was a week or so ago. Has he come down from that statement?
No, he's holding strong, and he's not the only one. This narrative all of a sudden of if you don't want to do anything that Zelensky says, you're pro-Putin has to stop, because really that's just what dumb
It has
people
to.
say. That's what dumb people on the internet say. And I've said this for a long time, Coach. I know you've said it. This is why Twitter is not real life. It's unserious people trying to say things just to get clicks.
The world we live in just absolutely astounds me with exactly what you said. Yet we all say Twitter isn't real life, but Twitter has certain influence, does it not?
It does. And big tech was a big part of this past election. It's funny. It's kind of buried as a story today. The New York Times is admitting, yeah, that whole Hunter Biden laptop thing, it exists. Oh, by the way, it's nice of them to put that out on the first day of March Madness, kind of early in the morning while there's a war going on. That feels like that would be a pretty big story if that would have dropped, let's say, any time before the election last year. But that's not the case. You know where big tech lies. The big tech donors, they all spend their money on one political party. You can't act like that's not the case. The challenge for the Republicans, though, is if you get power, if you win these midterms like they think they're going to do, if 2024 goes your direction, like the polling shows, you have to do something. You can't just be the party that sits around and bitches and moans and has the House, the Senate, and the presidency and doesn't get anything accomplished. Because if that's the case, you're no better than the dumbasses that we have there right now.